Good morning. Glad we all had a chance to chat at least a little bit last night so I can connect names with faces. I know some people were last minute getting their talent dynamics so you don't have a printout, but that's okay. No, I mean, literally, I gave Alex and Aaron their tokens last night, so they've just completed them at the dinner table. That said, there are three things that I would like you to get out of this as a minimum. Number one is your own personal awareness for why you see the world the way you see it and why certain things feel easy to you and other things feel like a grind. The second is perhaps an aha moment in terms of how you relate to others. That would be great. And then third, we'll talk a little bit more about how you build teams. I always use the word team, here you go, loosely to mean yes, of course, the people that may be your employees, your W-2 types, but team can be the people you work with, contractors, partners, clients, spouses, family members. You'll find that anytime there's a human being involved, they likely, they have their own filters they see the world through, that they're interpreting the world through, as are you. So a little bit of background, the talent dynamics is owned at the moment by Roger James Hamilton. It's based on the Chinese I Ching. It's been around about 5,000 years. And if any of this sounded familiar or sounds familiar, it's because Carl Jung built his archetypes in the early 20th century based on the Chinese I Ching. Roger James Hamilton uncovered a lot of that work from the I Ching piece of it, realized there was a little piece missing, brought it back in, and developed a more modern version for people to understand themselves and then others. So the whole point of talking about the report is not to read it together, but rather to help you with, yeah, what does this mean now? I think we've all taken plenty of profiling tools in our past where we get it and like, yep, that's me, and then we move on. So first and foremost, did it resonate with everyone as you read it about yourself? Could you see yourself in your own report? Yeah. Fantastic. This is my artist rendering of that cover page, just so I have something to point to while you have something to look at. The important page that you can also look at, since we have this up here, is that second page. It's where your name is and it says your frequencies. So this is your personal recipe. If, for those of you that might be a little more analytical, there are something like 3.9 million combinations, but there's only 8 profiles, which is to say we can have 2 supporters sitting next to each other, and in this room we do. And that doesn't mean they're identical. It doesn't mean we think alike. It doesn't mean we're in a box. It doesn't mean you've got somebody figured out because they share a profile or you're aware of their profile. That's not what it's about. It's to help improve understanding, right? With 7 billion people on the planet, we can't split them into 8 profiles and know how they're going to respond to everything. But we can bring ourselves some definite understanding. So the way the frequencies work, there are 4 frequencies: dynamo at the top, blaze to the right, tempo underneath, and steel on the left. And typically the way you can think of the frequencies, this is the dynamo is, it's just what it sounds like. It's an active, it's head in the clouds, it's ideas. There's a lot that comes with that. They're usually high energy people. They're definitely extroverts who have the dynamo energy. If you immediately flip to the bottom so that you get some contrast, tempo, ear to the ground. If these people have their head in the cloud, these people have their ear to the ground. They're very well grounded, just like it sounds. Blaze energy is people energy. Most of this room is blaze energy, which as we talk, it'll start to seem really apparent why the dynamic in this room has unfolded the way it's unfolded, because of how much blaze energy is in it. To give you a sense of how many people in this room are blaze, raise your hand if you're a supporter or a star. That's blaze energy. Yeah, blaze energy. So where blaze is people and out loud and relationships, Steel is facts and figures and reality. So if this is a color photograph, if you wanted more clarity, this is a black and white photograph. This is where you see color and it's pretty and you see a lot of texture, but this is where you see clarity because it's black and white and you can see shades of gray, detail. So that said, as we talk about talent dynamics, we usually talk about flow. Where do we find flow? Flow is every time you've ever been at work, whatever that means to you in your business, and you have completely lost track of time. So somebody comes by and they knock on your door and they say, hey, I thought we were going to lunch. Yeah, we are. It's 1 o'clock. Oh my God. I'm sorry, totally lost track of time. You're in flow. You're completely in flow. When you're in your car and that song comes on, and whether you're doing the drums on the steering wheel, you're singing, whatever it is you're doing that gets you moving, that's also flow. That's the feeling of flow. That thing you wait for the last possible second to do, that is not flow. That's the opposite. The thing you dread, the thing that gives you the tightness in your chest, the thing that makes you hunch your shoulders over is the opposite of flow. So as we talk about flow energy, and I know this is a busy one, but that way I don't have to stand here and turn my back and write. So flow is blue and it goes according to the 4 frequencies. So a moment of star, anytime you're on a corner. So this is creator, star, supporter, deal maker, trader, accumulator, lord, mechanic. And it's on your front page. The corners combine the 2 frequencies. And I mentioned that the star is blazed, so they combine this way in terms of how they pair for their frequencies. But where does each energy find their flow? They find their flow in initiative. So creators, they're idea people. They always have another idea. Constantly. They have nothing but ideas. If you have a problem, they have 5 ideas immediately to help, and they'll think of 5 more right after that, and it will never stop. They're idea people. Over in the blaze area, so that's dynamo energy. In blaze, it's respect. They're all about showing respect. If a supporter or star does something for you, they're doing it with the intent to show you respect because that's where they find flow. Deal makers and traders, it's presence. You'll have their undivided attention. You'll never feel more heard than by a trader or a deal maker, most likely. And finally, accumulators and lords, it's discipline. Discipline. They will show you their very best with details, organization. They're highly disciplined. How do they create visions? What drives a vision for the 4 frequencies? Starting at the top, the dynamo energy, they always talk about what, and that is the first question they ask. What are we doing? What is the idea? It's a what question. Supporters and stars are going to ask who? Who's on the team? Who can we call? They're who? They're people. When? Down here at the bottom, that's the pure sense of timing. When is that going to happen? What's the timeline attached to that? And of course, how? The lords and accumulators, yeah, how are we going to do that? Beautiful idea, how are we going to do that? They're operating system and focused. They grow with tasks. They glow with people. They slow it down with activity. I know that sounds counterintuitive. It'll make more sense as we continue to speak. And they know through data. What actions do these folks take? Well, again, creators create. It's what they do. They form the business. Blaze energy, they communicate, they storm. Down here on the bottom, they consult, they norm. And of course, as you'd expect, over here on the left brains calculate and perform. And of course, what is the motivation and value behind each? It's innovation and thrill. We find a lot of entrepreneurs up here because they're great at creation. And the whole point of innovating is exciting to them. So you see a lot of people start businesses that live in this space. Supporters and stars are driven by variety and fun. They love the change. So we'll get there. So variety and fun. Communication and care. And last, of course, structure and comfort.
It was rapping a little bit.
Okay. On the video. So thinking of how these folks, this is how they show up, or how you show up. So far, what jumped out at you as I went through each one of these and your individual frequencies? What came to mind?
The motivation and values, like it becomes very apparent as a supporter how that need for variety and fun can also be a limiter.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I thought about, okay, what could I learn, or what do I need to learn from the people that are on the other side of the spectrum?
That's where we're going next. Any other aha moments?
I just noticed how I see myself on multiple different of the scales. Even
Okay.
on the star, like I see myself though with on the deal maker side too, with like the connection and care side when it comes to motivation and value.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is where we're going, which is these are key roles. But also you'll notice in your talent dynamics, it gave you a primary and then two secondaries. Those are your wings. So if you're a supporter, your wings are to either side of you, by definition. Everybody's wings are to the left and right. The body of your aircraft is your primary. It is your star, your supporter, your mechanic, your accumulator, your creator. So if you're a creator, your wings are mechanic and star. You can use those to shift your plane, your aircraft, as needed. You can lean on them from time to time. Usually you'll come back and resolve right in the center your strength. Now, for people, if the higher your frequency in one particular energy, it will resonate even more tightly with you because you have so much energy there. But to your point, Daniel, it's a matter of if your plurality is 30% and you have 25 on a wing, well, you're going to naturally feel almost a pull back and forth between those things. So how do they interrelate? These are what we call best roles. These are natural, I would call them natural roles. And I'll call out a couple of things. Sometimes people might perseverate a little too long on either one of the examples that's in the handout or one aspect of a role. That does, again, we're not trying to pigeonhole. It's a matter of you should know how you show up. So creators are the best initiators. If you want somebody to get something going, they'll do it. And they will get it going. You want a promoter? They'll sell it before it exists. Stars. You don't even need a real product. You just need a mock-up. And you'll take the stage. I can hand you a Post-it note with 3 things I want you to talk about, and you're more than happy to do it. Promotion, star is what it sounds like, just as creator is what it sounds like, but star can have 2 little offshoots. So there's the obvious piece where a star is a product. Gwyneth Paltrow is, in fact, the product. She is the star. The fact that she does that for a living, that is the product. But there's also the Oprah example of stars who use their energy to focus the spotlight on a person or cause they care about. Bring attention to That's where the promotion piece comes in. So sometimes star is a little bit of a misnomer, where promoter is a much better description of what the role is. Supporters are leaders. They're leaders of people. Don't ask them to start it. Don't ask them to come up with the plan, and don't ask them to finish it. But they'll put together a world-class team. The way I would describe it, because I am a supporter, I usually tell people I am unbelievably comfortable not knowing. I have no attachment to being the expert in the room, none whatsoever, because I know I can find the expert. I know if I'm putting together a team, I can find an IT expert. I don't need to do that. I know I can find a marketing person that has a gift for what I'd like to accomplish. I don't need to know that. That's where that leader piece comes in, because we're just not attached to being the smartest guy or gal in the room. Deal makers, peacemakers, this is the people that the way that you find them, by the way, the way that you usually find these two people is people are drawn to them. They want to come say hi. They want to shake their hand. They know who they are. They're approached in the grocery store or wherever. So people are drawn to them because they're friendly, and both stars and supporters like people, and other people know that we like people. So it draws people to us. Creators, you can usually pick them out because they always have an idea, always. It's the most freakish thing you've ever seen in your life. If you're not a creator, you're like, how do they come up with so many ideas? It's how their brain's wired. Deal makers, the way that you find them in public is they know someone you should meet. They're always introducing people to people. Even though this has a strong relationship component, deal makers are bringing people together to make deals. That's where that peacemaker also can come in. They understand how the team is feeling, as do traders. They get a sense for, if you've got an issue on your team, one of these two probably knows it, your peacemaker or your negotiator. Traders, in all the work I've done, this is the one profile I've only found one of so far. Lots of people have it as a wing. I've only found one person that came out as a rock solid trader. I don't know what that means. I'm just sharing it with you. I attach no, as a true supporter, I throw just something out there. I don't know. I read it. It's interesting. And the one team that I'm still working with that has a trader, it's been marvelous, and I spend probably a little too much time and attention with her, but I've told her, you're the only trader I've gotten a chance to work with. I really need to know what makes you tick. That's your customer service person. They create your customer experience. So a lot of large companies and small companies have either a plan for client experience, or a process for client experience, or a team that handles that. It's, if you want your client from prospect to recurring client who also refers a lot of work to you, this person designs that for you. Innate sense of timing. Their sense of timing is uncanny. They're when focused, which eludes these folks up here. So sometimes your creator, if they want it right now, but it has no, it's off because they don't have a sense of timing, or they have a very low sense of timing. My mom used to always, when she talked about timing or impatience, she would often say, ask yourself if you've got a baby problem. It takes 9 months to make a baby. Assigning 9 women does not get the baby in a month. And she would roll that through so that we could get a sense for, are we being impatient? So usually if I've got a creator, especially with low tempo, like I'll always ask, do you have a baby problem? Did you check with one of your traders or someone close to it to help you with that? Like, we're going to market in a month. No, you're not. You're not going to market. Accumulators, by far, these are your risk analysts. They look at the facts and figures, and they look at your timeline, and they get a sense for the no, you're not going to market. Here are the 25 steps for you to go to market in 10.2 weeks. And they'll tell you exactly how that's going to roll out. This is your cautious piece. These folks will save your company from bankruptcy. They will save you. Analysts, accountants, finance, they track and they quantify and they tell you. So you find a lot of these people in medical professions. You find a lot of them in accounting for sure. Usually they are researchers for sure. They'll give you all the information. And I like to say if this person's gift is risk, this person's gift is turning information into intelligence. And I'll start to give you examples of how people work together or not as we go. And last but not least is the mechanic. They're known as completers. Sometimes the mechanics get thrown off by being called a completer. In fact, I just had a mechanic say to me, that doesn't feel right because, I put stuff off. Didn't say you didn't procrastinate because the timing part's down here. What mechanics do is they turn it in a way that's better than you could have possibly imagined. The reason they're late is they were improving it. By the time it hits your desk, if you've assigned the mechanic the thing, you couldn't have imagined a better solution that attacked 3 other issues that you didn't even know about. They figured out, and they gave you their best work. And by the way, they're still trying to improve it. I would like to say mechanics are perfectly comfortable repairing the plane in air. Fine by them. If creators create chaos out of order, they create order out of chaos. So how do people work together? So the way a supporter and a Lord work together, this is the who, the team, etc. This is the quantification, the analytics, the data. Just so happens I'm over here, but I'm married to this. So I have a special insight every day at home of how this works together. But how does the friction also work? So again, using the supporter as an example, especially since we have so many, and I'm also going to use the star accumulator as a great example since we have so many. But if you look at how the tension might happen, the way this works in real life is a supporter who's people-focused. We believe in people. We believe in the magic of other human beings and the innovation they bring, strangely enough. Even though we're not initiators, we're still pretty innovative in the sense of relying on people to perform. So what we might do is walk up to somebody and say, Nicole, I have a new assignment for you. I need somebody to put together a brand new financial planning performance report, and I've tasked you to do it. Contact this person. Go. You're empowered. Nicole would say to me, wait a minute, I have a question. I have 5 of them to start. I have at least 5. And so what I think is empowerment is a dump of what the hell is he talking about? I don't even know what he wants. And in my head, I'm like, can she not just go do it without 8,000 questions? So, to which she would say, do you want it done right? Because that's how that relationship works. Now, the way a constructive relationship works is, Nicole, we have a new project, highly detailed. We're going to be delivering both a detailed report, but in a way an average client can absorb it all. I'd like you to be on the team. Here's what I know so far. These 3 people will be on the team. This one will be responsible for this one for this one for this. Your part will be to be the voice of the client. From all the times you've had to explain something technical to a client, we want to make it conversational, hoping you can help them with that language. We're going to start next Tuesday. They're going to meet every single week. It's an 8-week project. And at the end, we hope to have the outline of the final, but not the final. Are you willing to do that? Totally different. Any other questions that you have that I might be able to answer? That's a different relationship. Let's go promoter to ambassador, or excuse me, accumulator. And this is actually Nicole's real primary is accumulator. So this is how the crappy example works, where we're in a meeting, Mr. Excitement here is going on and on and on about the new project. Oh my God, it's gonna be so exciting. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be awesome, we're gonna make $1 million. And all of a sudden, Nicole's eyebrow goes up. She doesn't say anything, because they don't usually say a lot, unless you ask. And Star over here, what? Just does the, spit it out. Just, there's something. What is it? You know what, never mind. Do you have a concern or not? I'm just unsure about it. When might you be sure? And that's how that downside relationship can go. Now, here's how you bring the power to both. Mr. Excitement talks about how exciting this new thing is. Watches her eyebrow go up and says, "You're seeing something." And she says, "I see something. Not sure what I see yet, though. Something's bothering me about this." Great. How much information can I get you? What would help you with this? And when do you think you'd have time to go through all that? What I need is the last 3 months of analytics, the finance that went behind this project. Give me a week to go through it, and I'll come back to you with what's bothering me. But there's something there. Fantastic. The other way this works is Star here has 7 ideas for the company, 7 new products to launch. And she says, "Well, wait up there, Chief. How about you give me your top 2? Well, no. You got it. These are the best 7 things. We got to bring them all. I mean, this is going to change the world. Great. Let's change the world one thing at a time, but give me your top 2. Star gives the top 2 ideas. She gives budget timeline to bring them to life. So instead of 7 great ideas that never go anywhere, you get 2 brand new launches. That's how people work together. So you can start to see how this unfolds. So every one of them has a little bit of a dark spot too. So when I describe the best behaviors, what I'm describing are people that have self-confidence and self-assurance and self-awareness, but not everybody has that. So how might we show up when we don't have that self-awareness? So for a creator without any self-awareness, creators know they create, they know they have ideas, but they also know once the team has come up with a plan that it's disruptive to say, "Oh, wait, one more thing." And you can watch a team's energy drop, right? We make a decision and our creator says, "Wait, but what about?" So in real life, I saw this unfold one day over something so simple. We were doing an offsite. There were 7 of us leaders traveling together, and we used to rotate through the country. You know, whoever we had offices everywhere, so we would host. And our host said, "Where would y'all like to eat?" And we all said, "You know what? We just want a place where we can get one table together. We can hear each other, so it's not super loud. When big tables, it's hard to hear each other. And something for everyone, right? It really doesn't matter. Food type doesn't matter. We didn't have a picky person among us. One person said, "Hey, no Asian cuisine tonight. We did that last night." Great. So she says, "Here's 3 ideas." Fantastic. Okay. One of our accumulator in the group says, "Just logged on to OpenTable. We got a reservation. Let me call them and make sure they understand we want to be somewhere quiet." Get that done. And creators, we could also go to Ruth Ann. We're good. Where is? Well, we tried this other place and it was pretty. Stop. We're good. We've got a place, it's going to be great, we've got a reservation, we're good to go. Well, you know, I was thinking some more. Oh my gosh, stop already. Like she couldn't read how frustrating that was to everyone else who doesn't think that way, that it's disruptive. It became a derailer. So, and that happens all the way around. So that's how this shows up. Stars, I can usually pick out a star in a room who's not self-aware. They side talk. Those are your side talkers. Because if they're not getting the attention, they turn to the person next to them so they can get some more attention. That drives them. We supporters, a little too chatty. So the way this shows up for me is I'll go to the grocery store and I'll get a text. I thought you were grabbing a few things. I ran into some people I didn't know. So I had to talk to them. But now I know them. Over here it can get to a point of we need their attention, but they're trying to introduce us to someone else. Please stop. I don't need someone else, I need you. They're trying to create a deal, and the deal is them. Derails. This can be a timing thing. Actually, all three of these can get stuck a little bit in similar ways. This can sort of take forever. Steps 1 through 10. Sometimes we can skip 2, 4, and 6. And that's hard for a trader. Accumulators have PTSD, as do lords. That's pre-traumatic stress disorder. And they can come off pessimistic, is how they get labeled. Like, oh my God, they see the bad and everything. No, they're preparing. They're your best preparers because they can imagine all the things that can go wrong. Mechanics, they struggle to create the plan, but if you give them an outline, they'll deliver. But it's sort of like, all right, just give me something, please. Right? We don't need a slide deck for that. Just give it to me. So that's how that, if we lack awareness or lack somebody else or lack the awareness of what another style is, that's how that can show up in a super dark way. So let's talk about the 1, 2, 3 rule. It's not a rule, excuse me. It's a guideline of this is how you put together a team that balances you out is your position 1. So if you're a creator, you then go 2 positions away for your next team member, which is a supporter, so 1, 2. And then 3 positions away from that for your third person, 1, 2, 3, which is an accumulator. Combine a creator, ideas, a supporter, a leader of people, and builder of teams with an accumulator, an uncanny ability to put together facts and timelines. You have one hell of a business. Now, in order for that to work, you need trust, of course. If you can build an environment where you all know each other's style per se, and you know the language and the language that other person speaks and the lens through which they see the world, and you trust each other to be that person, now you've put together one heck of a group of people. So you can imagine how that unfolds in the seasons of different businesses, whether it's initially the launch, who's going to do what, or what contractors or partners can we use to get that done, and of course, the business of business, and then keep cycling through. And it works all the way around. So a star grabs a deal maker and a lord. And even when we're first launching, if we're first a one man or woman show and then build out, for me, I use my spouse is opposite me, so I use that a lot. Because I know he's going to ask me a question. He's always going to ask me a question. And it's going to get more stuff going. We joked earlier, we supporters, we're going to make a decision. The worst thing you can do, if you want me not to be able to make a decision, lock me in a room by myself with no devices to bounce, and no way to communicate with people to bounce ideas. I'm going to get stuck. where if you want to sabotage a Lord and accumulator in a decision-making process, put them in a room with people who won't stop talking, and they're never going to come to a decision because they don't have time to think. That starts to become the introversion-extroversion thing, which has nothing to do with how outgoing we are or how much we may or may not like people. It has to do with where we gain our power, and especially our rejuvenation. Supporters and stars, I'm preaching to the converted, I know. The only thing better than one networking event is 3 of them in a row. And a bus that takes us there, right? Like the accumulator figured it all out, and they nudge us like, okay, it's time to go to the next thing. The next thing. We're excited about that. And we don't need any more downtime after that. To us, that is not work, that's pure flow. For the accumulator that's behind the scene, that is also flow until you also make her network. If she can be at the bus and nudging us onto and off of it without having to do the whole people thing, she stays in flow. So again, if you think about who are you working with now and how might they be or not be in flow, how you may or may not be in flow, then you can start to see where it's not that you need different people, they just have to be in a different seat on the bus. Your bus may be going in the right direction. You just have people in weird seats, right? Don't put a people person in charge of analytics. They'll drive them insane, right? So the other piece, and I want to hear how you think about this, sometimes people get stuck in a role or an approach. So for instance, who's the best salesman on the whole chart? Promoter, the star. Agree? You all agree? It's the star. It's a trick question. They're all great salespeople.
Under what environment they have been in. If you have somebody who is trying to be facts and figures, you need to put them together with somebody who is able to talk facts and figures. If you want somebody who makes them feel comfortable and safe, you want to put a leader in the room with them because it'll make them feel safe.
Right.
If you want somebody to go out and get the people to talk to in the first place, you grab a star because they'll go out and collect the people, but then they need to be passed off to the completer because the completer has all the details to be able to get them where they need to go.
Bingo. Yeah, it's cold call, Rolodex, that little stupid card we all punch in at Safeway or wherever you shop. Some mechanic came up with that. You know they did. And we willingly did it. But a mechanic did that to us. Like, hey, we can get people, we can entice people to give us information they weren't going to give us in the first place. Watch how they shop. Show them a bunch of stuff we think they want, see how they perform, change it again, and we'll get them to keep going to that app, and then we'll be able to drive some more of their behavior. A mechanic did that. We never would have thought of that.
Is that why the idea of like cold calling and prospecting people that I have no relationship with like gives me just the like I want nothing to do with it. Like I want to be introduced to somebody, I want to build a relationship that way, I want them to see what I've done previously.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's for you, there's not enough information.
Right.
Well, what are they going to ask me? What am I supposed to say? How long is this call? How long do I block?
Yeah.
What do I say after? Do I follow up after? How many times does the phone ring? Do I leave a message? What do I say in the message?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch me make this shit up.
Do it. Yeah. Right? And when we're in a space that we fit in, we're really comfortable. And when we're partnered with somebody that can help us with something we're not comfortable with, we are just as much in flow.
Sure.
So when I was doing a lot of promotional activity in my last role where we were promoting a brand new product, so I had to take lots of stages and lots of web calls and so on, I'm fine with all that. In fact, I was fine with the client experience team handing me a note saying, we just adjusted 4 things. This is what it is now. Great, got it. And behind the scenes, I had a mechanic that was making sure the plane was flying. at all times. Okay, I can tell everyone about it, but man, you got to make sure this thing is sound. That's how those partnerships work. Or the way you say it of, well, do you know X? I must not need to know it because my team hasn't told me. That's what trust is. It's also your ability to say, whoa there, Haas. Little loose on the facts. Little loose on the facts. And that's how that plays out. So Star supporters, my brothers, question yourself, right? Because we can hurt our credibility if we don't tell people where we get stuff. Well, 42% say blah, 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 blah. The first one, where the hell did you get that? Where did you get that? And so the tension becomes, we're making a point and you're trying to get the details. You're missing my point, but it's wrong. But my point, but it's wrong. Right? The way this has played out of the house is, what's the temperature outside? I don't know, 45-ish? Throw ish. I think ish solves everything. Right? It is 42. I don't even know.
It's 90. That's 45-ish.
I walk one direction, he goes the other. And the other way that can go is, well, I'll tell you this. We have enough time for this. Mark and I bought a condo down the street in 2006. We don't own it anymore. It had been one of those scrape and builds. They were gorgeous. They were brand new. There were 4 models. We knew which model we wanted. We wanted the Treviso. It was a 3-bedroom, but not the monster. Great. We look at the site map, and there's dots. These are all the Trevisos. Those are sold. Great. Let's go look at them. Them? Well, we have to go in all of them. Okay. We go in every one of them that was available. And there was one scheme that I'm like, well, this is kind of our style. This is probably the one we're going to buy. And there were 3 of those, but one had a weird green detail, so that was out. The other one had this weird thing in the kitchen, so that was out. And the other one was oriented the way we wanted, so that was the one we were going to choose. But I've been married a long time, so I kept my mouth shut, because that was only like number 10 that we'd walked through. So we walked through them all. We took photographs of them all. We went home, and he did a spreadsheet with features we cared about and point values on how much we cared about them. And added them all up, and he said it's unit 72. Fantastic. I like that one too. I like that one too. We got to the same place. I needed to give him time to get there factually, or what he thinks is factually.
Yeah.
And I got from my gut, which, by the way, when I say to a lord of any kind, why do you want it? It's my gut says. They're like, that is not scientific. I want nothing to do with that.
Statistically, my stomach felt a specific way.
Yeah.
Statistically has proven.
Right? So, right, the way we communicate is he remembers to ask me how something feels, and I remember to give him all the information I have, and then let him ask questions.
Ask them what they think.
Ask them what they well, that goes universally of asking somebody what they think. But if you're specifically reaching your compliment, understand what wires them. He's a how person. I'm a who person. So when who's talking to how, the friction comes up when we impose our style on other people that are not our style. Right? Because this person comes off like a micromanager simply because they're asking detailed questions. Mm-hmm. They live in details, that's all. Mm-hmm. But if you can come to an agreement if you can negotiate your way to what kind of information you need and on what timeline would you like to see it, and do I have room to make decisions in between those 2 reporting dates? Right? If you are over here and you're leading a supporter, If we finish a conversation and you say, this was a really good conversation, hey, send me your report on this conversation. We just had the conversation. Did you not take notes? Like, nothing would drive a supporter more insane than relating to somebody, having a conversation, and having that other person say they wanted it in written form, in a report, after the fact. It would make us crazy. And it'll also bubble up of, if you're responsible for getting information from the team and reporting it, and you say, look, Friday at 5 o'clock is our deadline. God help you if you ask these people before Friday at 5. I thought you said it was due Friday at 5. Well, just want to remind you, you don't need to remind me. I have a timer at 4:45 on Friday to give you the information you want. That's not flow for us. So if you want it Tuesday at 2, give us that deadline. But we're never going to, this side is not going to give detailed information before the deadline. We're not going to do it naturally. So if you know that ahead of time, you adjust. You adjust for the communication. The other side is these people have a hard time stopping talking in a group setting, often, like if it's a collaborative setting. But they've got some key information that'll keep you successful. Usually you'll need to call on them and ask them for their input. If you're over here, this is another tension point. Nicole, I really need you to participate more in our team meetings. I need you to speak up more. Every accumulator and Lord on the planet hates hearing that. They hate it with every fiber of their being. And the leader who says that is completely unaware of themselves.
Sure.
The way it works in real leadership is, and again, it's usually reading the body language. It's, hey, Ted, last time we had this kind of an issue, you brought up some really good points. See any of those same points or something new that we're not talking about? Ken, there's something there. I gotta have 24 hours to digest this. It's just so much information. I gotta think through all this. Fantastic. In the meantime, anything off the cuff, anything that's bubbling up right now, there's something about the ABC company that's bugging me. I got to dig in. Fantastic. Ted's never going to jump in and say, hey. So that said, if we've talked about 1, 2, 3, especially, what kind of ideas does that give you in your own practice, in your own business, that you can use?
So if you're going to hire, right, you wouldn't put out like I guess you would structure the avatar you're looking for to fit that personality profile.
Well, I actually think you made a really good point yesterday, Aaron, which is you're looking for skills. So again, you put great salesperson. Well, is this digital on the left? Is this, you want somebody with a Rolodex on the lower right? You want somebody that can bullshit with the best on the upper right? Who are you looking for? And you write it that way.
Really specific, I would think, is more specific, right?
It depends on the role.
For the unicorn, I would assume.
Well, you get specific
Well-
if you're looking for the specific.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want vague, like, hey, looking for someone who can talk, then you'll get somebody who's more like a leader
Right.
or promoter because it's like, ooh, I can talk.
Yeah.
I can talk. Well, and
Right.
he made the point yesterday, if it's an entry-level position, keep it nice and global of, hey, I want an honest person that has no people fear, that's eager to learn, and I'll teach him everything else.
Yeah.
Great. However, if you have something that requires precision, then you want precision. But one of the things I learned when I was doing a lot of recruiting at the branch level, like my first branch leader position, was in my head, I was committed to diversity in all ways that it could be diverse. whether that's gender, generation. It was at USAA, so it was very important for us to have people with a military background, both enlisted and officer ranks, branches, in every branch of service. In every way that we could have diversity, we wanted it. And I was developing, like the first few people that were in my branch, just a bunch of white guys. I'm like, that is not diverse. Like, what am I doing? And that's where that collaboration comes in. I wasn't understanding that the way I wrote the job description, the way I wrote the hiring piece, it was designed for guys, because I wrote it, right? After my recruiter changed the language, we started getting more women apply, and it was for something that is now humorous to me, but I hadn't thought about then. You know, I put so many specifics. I listed my dream person. And she said, you're never gonna get a woman apply. Why? Because women think they actually have to have that. Guys just know, they don't even care. They'll just write their name down. They're never gonna find all that. I'm gonna dazzle them.
Yeah.
We are trained from birth that that's okay to do, and women are trained, no, if they say they want this, they actually want it. Women hold themselves to a higher standard. So I had to write it that way. The other thing that I had to learn was guys are always looking for the next rung of the ladder, typically speaking. I don't know, I'm generalizing. Women don't think about careers the same way. They think about how their family relates to a career. Guys go the other direction of, if I get this big career, I'll figure out the family stuff. And how you write a job description will drive who starts to apply. The other piece is there's a recruiting piece. So if you look around and you have a lot of males in your industry, you have to go talk to women and tell them about an opportunity. They have to be recruited because they're busy doing their job, not looking for one, I'm told. So that's how we went from a few white guys to a diverse office. And gender, in all ways you can be diverse. Diversity of thought and of course all the physical stuff that means diversity. Because you can still, I mean, you can look like the United Colors of Benetton, but then get groupthink.
Yeah.
And then with the diversity, I think it goes into what you're saying is like you need to make sure, like, so I'm a star, so I need to make sure to go to the accumulator to really try to include them into that conversation. Because you can have diversity in the room, but you're saying that groupthink means now everyone's thinking like me because I'm the most dominant force in the room. So
Right.
Inclusion in the diversity.
Absolutely.
is important too.
Yeah, you have to make it safe for disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite leaders that I didn't report directly to him, he was a CEO for a while. He used to say, disagreement is not disloyalty until the decision is made and then it's treason. Which is the other part of it is if you get somebody actively negative, like they didn't say their piece in the room or they didn't get their way in the room and then they work against, that's treasonous.
What do you do if you have somebody that's all of them?
That's treasonous? Oh, that's all of these?
All of them. Just one of my employees. She thinks she's probably every single one of these.
Yeah.
Literally.
So I work with a team now where I've got one person that's almost like just enough tilted one direction that he comes out a certain role. But if I look at his frequencies, he's got 22% and change in each one. So we're doing a lot of little extra work with him. So one of two things is going on. Either he's kind of a balanced person, or he also happens to be one of the newer ones that wants to fit in. So he may be trying to be all things to all people. So I think that's influencing him.
Yeah, I love this so I can learn how to talk to them better.
Mm-hmm.
Their strengths and their weaknesses. And
Yeah. Well, and we always, I would say don't think of the fact that I don't love detail doesn't mean it's a weakness of mine. It's just not flow for me. I mean, I have compensated, I got a degree in accounting so that I understand what I'm being told. I just don't gravitate to it. It's not my natural impulse. There's a reason I use QuickBooks Online so that I can deal with it one day a week.
to the effect as well, when you're saying detail isn't necessarily a weakness of yours as a leader, it's not as much, just from what I'm hearing, it's the same kind of thing like with the personality. It's not that I don't have attention to detail. My attention to detail is, how is it affecting you? What are you doing? How is my team? What's going on? What did the face? He moved this wrong way. Why did he move that way? But we don't do it consciously. We're not consciously processing all that data. But our attention
Right.
to detail is on the people that are involved versus the details of the project we're working on. So it's where is our attention, and it's not conscious for us as a leader. We do see all of that detail, and
Right.
until we're trained that we're seeing it, it's just there.
Yeah, good call out. We are all reading something different. That's our attention. Yeah, for sure. Final thoughts, questions, concerns?
Thank you.
If you would like your hour with me, go to kenkilday.com/20%ers, go to the bottom, click Let's Talk, and there's your complimentary hour. Talk a little bit more about you, specifically.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.